Thank you so much for tuning in. This one is going to be a pretty quick presentation. So the topic is effective parent and guardian communication in a digital environment. So a little bit about me before I get too far into it. My name is Nikki Laverne. I am the instructional technology facilitator for Livingston Parish Public Schools. So I basically help train teachers, faculty, staff, administrators on how to use all the different things like Microsoft 365, Google Apps, all of those things, plus any other technology that we purchase as a district. I am also a Google certified educator and innovator and trainer recently. And so for a Google innovator, you have to have a problem. And for that problem, you have to seek a solution as part of your project. So my problem originally started on connectivity of parents, but then after actually talking to parents, I realized that the problem is not connectivity. It's the fact that they are not understanding of how all of this technology works. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there, but you know what? A lot of them are not familiar with how to even get to YouTube. That was eye-opening to me. So after doing a couple of in-person trainings and after surveying my parents, I decided to come up with this presentation on how to communicate. And I've got a few tips for you guys. I did drop a link to this presentation in the chat. Feel free at any point in time to throw out questions in the chat, or you can, I'll be real honest with you guys. I am very relaxed. I'm going to allow you guys to unmute yourself. Let's do some open dialogue. So if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself, pop in and ask a question. I have no problem with that. So let's make this fun. Let's make this a conversation. So the copy of this, and I will actually, if you guys would like, if you want this, let me know. Just throw it in the chat and just say yes if you want it. I can give you a copy of this presentation, so it will force a copy to your Google Drive, and then you can just go in and change whatever information. Yep, okay. I will do that right now. So then you just take my Bitmoji out, make it your Bitmoji, and then you can present it to your faculty and staff. Okay, there it is. It's in the chat. I did want to make this easy for you guys to use if you wanted it. Just because I know that this is where a lot of teachers are struggling, and I know the parents are also struggling. So let's dive on in here. Okay. So really I've broken it down into like the 4 C's. Be consistent, be clear, be considerate, and be comforting. And again, this is based on conversations with parents. I actually had different words up there, but then these kept popping up and I'm like, oh, they all start with a C. I'm totally doing that. So the first thing, consistency. Be sure to keep the communication platform the same throughout the year. And this is a quote from one of the mothers that I talked to. Her child is an elementary student. She said, every teacher is posting differently. We have to go to 3 different locations to find his work. We are stressed that we are missing something. And so then I'm asking parents like, hey, what kind of, platforms are your teachers using? And there was so much out there. There's Remind, Dojo, ClassTag, Google Classroom, Seesaw, email, like it's overwhelming. And I have 2 kids. One's in 5th grade and he is at a middle school. And the other one is in 1st grade where they're doing a lot of pen and paper. And just for transparency's sake, my kids go full time. They go every single day. Here in Livingston Parish, our schools are open every single day full time. We are not hybrid. There are some students who have decided to stay at home, but these problems that came up are the ones who are either in quarantine, so they're stuck at home doing virtually, or ones who have been doing hybrid. And a few have come from C students who stay home virtually the entire time. So that's where this information is coming from. So consistency. If you want to use one thing, great. Use that one thing and stick to that and don't change it up. So for school districts, important information needs to be distributed through the same medium the entire school year. Send it through email and an automated phone call. Don't start your year off doing that and then halfway say, we're going to try this new thing. Don't do that. Try that the next school year. It's important to be consistent. That way parents know routine. Some of us thrive on structure. I'm a very unstructured person, but I strive in structured situations, if that makes sense. Teachers, select one app, one for communication, and another, so we're on the second one, for distribution of assignments if that's necessary. For instance, use Remind to send out communications. Use Google Classroom for your assignments. If you have to use other stuff, like here you see that we've got Edpuzzle, Seesaw, like we use these things in our district. Our district pays for these things. They're awesome. We don't need to use them outside of Google Classroom because that's where the parents start getting confused. Take the links to those things, drop them into Google Classroom, throw a due date on there. That way they show up in the to-do list. And I know some teachers are against the due date, but honestly, some of the parents are struggling and those due dates help, even if it's just a mark as done kind of thing. So here you can see, this is part of one of the surveys that I sent out, and I sent out a ton and then did interviews based on this feedback. So how does your school attempt to communicate? You can see it's like all over the board, okay? And then they had listed some things, and some of those were Class Dojo or some other things. And then when they asked, like, which one do you prefer? Huge, they want reminder email, you know? Automated phone call, let's see what came in next. Yeah, automated phone call came in next, but huge, they want reminds or an email, or you know what, both. You can do emails and reminds as well as text, so. So consistent. So this is remind. This says clearful uses. It's supposed to say helpful uses. I will fix that for you. So remind is that communication tool that helps teachers connect instantly with students and parents. It sends quick, simple messages via email or text, and it does not reveal your phone number. So you don't have to worry about them texting you at all hours of the night. Yes, it does have a chat feature, but you can turn that off. I had a problem with a student who wanted to text me and talk to me about non-school related stuff. I gave him a warning. It didn't work. I turned off the chat. So now he can't talk to me outside of school hours. And if it's not about school, I'm not interested in listening anyway, because that's a weird gray area for me and I don't want to go there. So you can turn that off. For teachers, helpful uses, if there's a schedule change, like if you're an administrator, you can send out these reminds to your teachers. There's a schedule change. Buses have to dismiss early because of flooding or rain, which happens out here all the time. Lockdown notifications. Hey, we're going in lockdown. Don't send anyone to the restroom. Don't change classes at the bell, etc. Emergency communication. During the flood of 2016, Remind was one of the only ways we were able to get information out, that and social media, because we weren't able to make the phone calls and it was just a hot mess. And then bus breakdown schedule has been super useful. Bus drivers are actually using Remind to text the parents and be like, hey, I'm running behind, or I'm having to run breakdown. I'm going to be 30 minutes late. As a parent, I have loved getting those. As a teacher, I liked sending them. What I would do for use with my students and guardians, I would have my agenda for the next week written Friday before I left campus. I would take a picture of that agenda and then send it out on Reminds. And that way the kids know what we're doing the next week. And they like to complain, like, I didn't even get home before I know what we're doing next week. But when I ask them, like, does that bother you? They're all like, actually, I kind of like knowing what's going on. And even one told me, you know what, it motivated me to get up Monday morning because I knew I had stuff to do. And I'm like, hey, that's what I'm talking about. And for the guardian perspective, it definitely helps to let them know that there's a schedule change. There's an upcoming due date. If you've got seniors, you need to know when that graduation money's due. You can send that stuff out. It's very helpful, and I've used it from both a parent and a teacher perspective. Loved it every single way that I can get it. Okay, so consistency also goes into how you post your assignments every single day. Here at our district, what we did at the beginning of the year was we said, this is the format that you have to use. Then we got a little bit of feedback and it kind of morphed a little bit, but basically, these are your choices of formats. And the teachers didn't really care for that at first. Because as teachers, we want to be creative. We want to be able to kind of go our own way. That's how we do our lessons. That's just who we are. But after talking to parents, the more consistency that they see from, because you know, their kids have 6 classes with 6 different teachers, or in some schools, 8. They go in and it's the same every single one. It's a lot less stressful. So here are some examples. You see this first one right here. What they did was, and this is snipped from one of my kids' teachers because I thought she was doing an excellent job. November 18th, you click on that and you get the instruction, you get the practice, and you get the test your knowledge. Every single day, I know everything that my kid needs for the day is right there. This is another way of doing it. They did it by the date. They did topic, Bill of Rights, and then underneath they have instruction as one assignment, practice as another, assessment as another. So again, the topic is daily with the instructions underneath. Caveat to that, Google only allows 100 topics. So at the end of the semester, if they're doing a daily topic, they're going to have to clean that up because they're going to run out of topics about February or March. So definitely keep that in mind. I prefer this one, the week. Week is the topic. You're not going to run out all year. And then every day is a different assignment. And you can even do multiple ones. Monday, number 1, Monday, number 2. You know, you can do it different ways. So I'm a big fan of how this layout is. But I think that's more high school. And this was taken from a high school teacher's Google Classroom. This one was taken from a 5th grade teacher's classroom. This one was, I'm not sure. I think that's actually high school too. So make sure that as a district or as an administrator, you tell your teachers, these are the different formats you need to follow. Do it like these. As a teacher, if you do have the freedom to do whatever that format is, keep it the same. Keep it simple. Parents need simple. That is one huge thing that I've learned. We have all of these resources that we learn about and we want to use them because we want to do the best job possible. But then our parents get extremely overwhelmed. So keep it simple. Keep it the same. Keep it simple. Consistent with your communication. I probably shouldn't clap because you probably can't hear when I'm clapping. Be consistent with your communication. School should have a consistent means. And so here's some examples. You can do a Monday message. So every Monday you have this is what's happening this week. You could do the Tuesday talk. It could be a video. Hey guys, this is what happened last week. This is what happened this week, etc. What's up Wednesday? It could be midweek communication or next week's news. I actually like next week's news because, again, I like knowing on Friday what's happening the next week. And it does not have to be anything super complicated. This is one, so North Live Oak, I love their format. Look at it. It's literally, this is the car line map. Here are the COVID guidelines. And then like Christmas crusade information. Boom. There's no paragraph of explanation, no summary of what's happening. No, it is boom, here are the reminders. I like that because I don't want to have to read to know what's happening. I can look at it with one bullet and I'm good to go. I really like this format. So if you're trying to come up with something, this format's the way to go. Next, be extremely clear in the words that you say. Forget your educational vernacular and use easy to understand words and instructions. And then I knew this, but I was trying to figure out why we want to be clear, because to me, if we use the bigger words, we sound smarter, right? Well, in all actuality, the average reading age for adults is 12 to 14 years old. And that's actually come up because in the past, it was like 3rd grade reading level. So we don't want to attempt to impress our parents with word choice. They really don't care. They want it to be simple. What do I need to do to help my child? And then people read 50% less of what is online versus what is printed. Basically, I have a story on paper, I read the whole thing. I have that same story on the internet, I'm skimming. Why? I don't know, but I realized that I also do the same thing. So leave out the fluff. No need for fun paragraphs, no need for joke of the day. I mean, if you want to, sure, put it at the bottom. Leave out the fluff, put in the minimal amount of information needed. And if you want these statistics, I did link them here at the bottom so that you could use them in case you wanted to have your own presentation. But definitely make sure you are keeping it clear when speaking to your parents. Don't assume that all parents speak English in the home. We actually have a funny story. Okay, funny/sad story about that. We have several schools here that have a very high population of ESL students, and most of their parents are Spanish speaking. So we have this automated phone call that goes out where we speak into it and then it shares it out. Well, the substitute for that was it will translate, and so the automated voice would read the Spanish, but it's like a plain old translator, and it doesn't take into consideration dialects or anything. So last year for Christmas, they were doing an Adopt a Child program where you can adopt a student and then like you help pay for their Christmas. And the kid doesn't know who it is and you don't know who the kid is. It's just you draw the name and it says boy and it gave the size and that kind of stuff. Well, when it went out, the translated version, the Spanish parents heard, we want to take your child for the holidays and give him a better Christmas. And it was bad. The reaction wasn't good. The parents didn't want to show up to stuff because they thought their kid was going to be taken from them. It was horrible. We learned a lot from that experience. And when they told me the story, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. She said that one of the parents wouldn't make eye contact and didn't really want to talk. And she kept like, what's the matter? What's the matter? And she said, I don't want you to take my child. And she's like, whoa, why would we do that? And she said, well, you said you were going to take him for Christmas. And she's like, okay, adopt a child did not translate. So make sure you understand that they necessarily don't speak English in the home. And also, if you do send home translated stuff, have someone take a look at it. Either someone who speaks it fluently or even have a kid. The kids are super, super good at that. Have them look over it and be like, hey, do you understand this? Or do I need to change some things? They'll be honest with you. Don't assume that they all understand the content level. I'm dealing with 5th grade math. It's easy, right? Oh my gosh, I have to watch Khan Academy videos to be able to teach my kid how to do it. And it's frustrating, and it's one of those things where I don't really understand the content. I'm trying really hard, but I also have the resources to be able to help my child with that. So make sure you understand not all parents understand that content level. Also, a lot of our parents struggle with learning disabilities themselves. They have dyslexia. They have dysgraphia. Those things happen. I mean, we're all grown up now. We see, like, you know what? I've struggled with ADHD for the longest time. I see that my kids are also dealing with that. So I have my own issues. Assume that the parents have their own issues as well. And then also don't assume that the parents are using the same devices. So a few weeks ago, I held an in-person parent training. And I said, bring the device that you're using at home because I want to make sure when you leave, you can continue to do it. The stuff that came in, tablets I'd never seen before, just were using cell phones, this random laptop that barely worked. I mean, the stuff that came in was eye-opening in itself. I had assumed that all of these kids had taken home a device from school. The schools didn't have the amount of devices needed to do that. So they were using what they had at home, didn't compare. So definitely keep that in mind. So consider maybe offering translations, get your students to help. Send visuals, that's helpful. Making short videos on procedures and expectations. The math teacher who I told her I was struggling, she sent home a video of, hey, this is how you work out this problem. We watched that video over and over and over again. Same video. It was extremely helpful. Creating a YouTube playlist. You can just add a bunch of videos that other people have made, send the link, and then they can pull up the video that they need, assuming that they can handle YouTube. Next, oh, that was the last one. Okay, be considerate. Not all students have access to a printer. So if you are sending home assignments that require printing, reconsider that, please. Not all students are working home on a computer. Some are working on a tablet or a cell phone. And then not all students have an adult capable of helping them. The amount of kids that are home alone during the day would probably shock you. If you're a teacher, it probably won't because you're aware. Or sometimes they're staying with a grandparent. That parent training, half were grandparents. They showed up because they wanted to help their child and they're the one caring for them. That was eye-opening as well. I mean, I knew grandparents were in the picture. I didn't realize the massive amount. So I have this sample assignment. This was one that I did in my class. Super great. It was a super big success. So they had a PDF of Young, Good, and Brown. We had all the different highlighter colors, and they worked in groups, and they had to highlight the different literary devices. I love doing stuff like that because the colors make it fun. The group work makes it fun. Kids really enjoy it. It doesn't translate well for at-home learning because then they have to find a printer to print 10 pages. Sure, the library offers 10 free prints, but that doesn't work. They might not have those specific highlighter colors. Sure, they could technically highlight online, but what if their tablet's not touch? Or what if it's not easy? Rethink about it. What is the goal here? They need to be able to understand what literary devices are, and they need to read the story. So instead of having them do all that, it can simply be, do a summary of the story, send me one example of each literary device. Done. You don't have to go through, make a whole giant new assignment for virtual students because a lot of our teachers are doing double the work and they're stressing themselves out and they're burning themselves out. Stop. The fun in class does not have to be replicated at home, and it's not your responsibility to do that. Make it simple. What is the objective? What is the smallest thing they can do to make sure you know that they're meeting that objective, and leave it at that. Okay? You can add the fun in later. But right now, take a breath, make it easy. Comforting. So parents are terrified. I don't know how many have told me, I know I'm not a teacher. This is obvious to me that I'm not a teacher. I need help. They know that they're struggling, so they think that their child is struggling. And if their child is struggling, they blame themselves. So one thing that you can do is to send positive messages to parents about their child. And make sure you use the kid's name. Don't just send a mass email. Hey, everybody's doing great. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to assume you're talking about everybody else, but not me. If you use my name or you use my child's name, then I know it's to me. So what I have on here is in the copy of this, you click on this and it will force a copy. That way you can edit it. These student certificates. So I've got certificate of appreciation. You can edit it with the student's name. And that's just for participating in Zoom lessons. This one is way to turn in all of your assignments on time. These are minor things, but if we celebrate them, they're going to work a little harder for you. This one, thank you for your wonderful behavior in the virtual lessons. Fun story for me. I taught seniors and juniors. One year, I had the worst behaving group of seniors I have ever had in my life. It was almost all boys. I think there were 2 girls in the whole class. And I struggled so hard with classroom management with that. Well, finally, my mom always told me growing up, kill them with kindness. So I bought these postcards and I wrote like a positive letter to the worst behaving kid in my class. I got that out and I was like, what is one positive thing about him? I thought and I thought and I thought, and I was like, you know what? He's a leader because everything he does, everybody else wants to do, and it drives me crazy. So I wrote a note to the parent about his leadership capabilities, dropped it in the mail, and then was like, whatever. A few days later, he came to me and said, you sent a postcard to my parents? I'm like, yeah. He's like, she put it on the fridge. I was like, what? That's awesome. And he's like, seriously, you think I'm a leader? I'm like, dude, they do everything you say. And then his behavior turned around. So I was like, ooh, let me try that again. So then other kids were like, hey, how do I get a postcard home? What do I got to do to get a postcard? And I was like, oh, well, you know, they were the best behaving class by the end of that year. And I developed some seriously good relationships with those kids. I still talk to them. I know that they had babies. They've sent me pictures with their family. Like, it ended up being one of my favorite years ever, all because I had to kill them with kindness. And just because we're digital doesn't mean every message has to be digital. It's going to cost you 23 cents for a postcard. I would pay that again for that reaction. Send home a postcard, write a letter. It's okay to do that. Anytime you're talking to parents, make sure you're saying we or us and not you and I, because then that puts you against each other. If you say we and us, that puts us on the same team. So that way you can say, what can we do to help him? So then it's you guys working together to help the student. Always use we and us. Smile when you talk, even if you're on the phone, because they can hear a smile. And I try to smile when I answer the phone, even if I'm in a bad mood. And every time they're like, oh, I love calling you because you're always so happy. And I'm like, really? Because I was crying 2 seconds ago, but you can't tell because I've got a smile on my face. It makes a difference when you smile and talk or speak. Sorry. And the last thing, Oreo cookie, anything negative. I love Oreos. I could eat a whole pack. Everybody loves Oreos. My least favorite thing is the cream. I actually just like the cookie. My point is positive, negative, positive. If you're a teacher, I'm sure you're aware of the whole Oreo cookie thing. You know what? You really need this parent to work with their math homework. Hey, you've been working really, really great. His English grade is phenomenal. Positive. His math grade is struggling. Do you think you can work with him on that too? That's negative, but you turn it into a positive, like, hey, you're doing so well with this. Maybe you would do really well at this. And then follow it with one more positive. I just love how involved you are with your student. Those are easy things. You can take almost anything negative and turn it positive. And if you give them 2 positives and 1 negative, the parents are really gonna appreciate that and remember that. Offer support. Investing in them early on makes your life easier down the road. That is something that took me a couple of years of teaching. I was terrified of parents. They scared the heck out of me. I was intimidated by them. And then I realized that I was being silly because they were intimidated by me as the teacher. So early on, I would make things for the parents, and the parents appreciated that. They loved having that reminds because they knew, you know what, my kid's telling me one thing, but I know for a fact that this is here. Make them tip sheets. And I have some resources for you at the end that you can do with your kids in class and send them home. Offer packet pickups. They're struggling, do a packet pickup in the front office, or even have a box out there. You can just come pick one up if you want. Offer virtual office hours in the evening time. I understand that that's taking time away from your family. I do. Some of you, that works for you. Others of you, that doesn't. That's okay. It's not required. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying consider it. It can even be like Saturday morning while your kids are still asleep. Create those playlists for your parents. Hey, this might help you learn how to do blah, blah, blah. Make a Google site. I've fallen in love with Google sites, and I've been making them for everything, like everything. And then offer a tip of the week. Even if you don't want to do any of that big stuff, offer a tip of the week every Monday. Tip of the week. Go to the to-do list in Google Classroom and make sure your kid has everything checked off. That's it. Doesn't have to be big or anything complicated. Resources. There are so many resources already out there. You do not have to create content. Don't stress yourself out. It's already there. And if it's not, reach out to me because I either know where to find it or I'll probably make you one because that's just how I am. So the first thing up here, and again, you click on this and it will take you, I'm going to click on it now, is the Google Junior Training Series. So this is a tech toolkit for families and guardians. Short videos, 90 seconds or less. And it's going to take a little while just because I am streaming. But it's everything from how to join a class, how to turn in homework, all of that stuff. It is excellent. There's even one for teachers, a Global Educator Series. This stuff is super helpful. I have a video on there. It was really fun and stressful to make, but I love that I was a part of it. And I can see that it's really helped. I mean, they've had probably almost 10,000 views of this stuff. Parents have found it useful. Again, not all of our parents are savvy in how to use the whole Google Classroom thing. So that's why I have these low-tech solutions here. So one of these, this is a Google Classroom mini book. You fold it up and it fits in the palm of your hand. It is really simple. This brings you to a video on the instructions, and then also underneath that is a link to it. It's free. Print it out, make copies for your students, and then you fold it together in class. Then you can take it home, and then your parents have something to hold on to and to look at. The same content is available in this flip book right here. Oh, this is going to bring you to my website. Okay, so I have this site built for Google Guardians. It's just for parent resources, and I'm going to continue to add to that as I develop them. But this one, download the flip book, and it's going to pull up a PDF. All you have to do is print it out. Here you go. Here are the instructions on how to use it. This is the kind of stuff that's in there. And it really, the way this is worked out, it starts kind of down here because that's the title page. Okay, how to join a class. What is the main menu? What is the stream? So it's really the basics. So if you have parents that are struggling, this is the basics. The same information is included in that little mini handbook, which is what I would recommend just because it uses less paper. Lastly, I have this, if you want to have a training for your parents, whether virtual or in person, I have this training for you. Again, free for you to use. Oops. It has the notebook. It has a sticky note where it has extra information on the side, and then insider secrets here. So let's take a look at main menu. What the main menu is over here. It talks about the to-do list and how it can be a grade saver. The pass it on. Sometimes the teachers will call it the hamburger, because I've had my kids say, we have to do the hamburger. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's the 3 little lines. So it's little insider information that might help parents in the long run. Another one, teachers can see the time that the assignment was turned in. There is no sneaking in late work. I know what time you turned it in. So you can't say, oh, but nope, I know what you did. Because they're sneaky little buggers. Again, students will say, oh, it got lost. That's not true because Google saves it automatically. We have found that some students just delete it to begin with, and we also know that there's version history and we can restore it pretty quickly. Some students will purposely click turn it in without work attached. All of this stuff students know, teachers know, but parents don't know. And if they know this, you're going to see a lot of your problems kind of disappear because they're going to check for that real quick. And again, free to use, whatever. It was a lot of fun. And if you think of something that I can add to it, please let me know. I will be happy to add it in there. I'm glad you like it, Kara. Okay, and then I don't want to play the video. This video is not necessary. So that's it. I told you it was going to be short and sweet. I finished a little early, but this is my contact information. So you can email me at LPSB, but if you want my Google information and all of my Google Trainer stuff, that is through my Gmail. So it's nikki.laverne@gmail.com. I do have a website. It's called Gadgets and Glitter, and that's where I have the Google Guardians, and then I do my other stuff in there. You can also contact me there as well. Can I put that info on the chat too? Yes, I can, Lisa, absolutely. Let's see. Most recent presentation on December 1st, that was Tuesday. So a couple days ago, I sang quite horribly and did the Tech Gifts of Christmas. It's basically 70 resources that you can use in your classroom, like Bamboozle and some other fun things like Classroom Screen and, you know, all kinds of fun stuff. So just check it out, flip through it, see if there's anything that you can use. And then I have another one coming up December 16th, interactive Bitmoji activities and boards. It says holiday, and it is holiday. It's not necessarily Christmas because by the time the 16th rolls around, our semester's practically over. So I do have a little Christmas in there, but it's mostly going to focus on how to build a board. And then there's some like Easter stuff. There is going to be a Martin Luther King thing. I'm making a Google site. It's kind of fun. So feel free to click on that and go ahead and put a reminder in so you can catch me that day. I'm so glad you got to watch it. It was really fun. I don't know if I told you, my daddy called me afterwards and was like, oh, Nikki, that was a great presentation. You need an Emmy. And I was like, thanks, Dad. Do you remember that singing conversation? He's like, I absolutely do. So yeah, it was really fun. My dad is sweet and honest. So I'm going to type my email in the chat. And guys, I really am a people person. I love talking to people. I love presenting because I get to talk to people. Being in an office is like my worst nightmare. I love being out and about and talking. So this is exciting. If you have any questions, feel free again to unmute yourself and ask. Pop it in the chat. I will see if I can. Oh, presentation file says you need permission. I'm going to go fix that right now because that is not cool. Yeah, I want to make sure. Oh, yeah, anyone with the link. Okay, now it should be fixed and you should not have a problem. Okay. How are we doing? Anybody else? Oh, wait, see, I got another one. Okay, good. I'm glad it works. Again, anytime you run into any issues with my stuff, let me know. I'll try to fix it like ASAP. All right, I'll wait another second to get some questions in. Wait, how do I get the presentation? I came in late. Oh, girl, I will paste it for you. Here we go. There you go. And then, okay, that's to view it. To make a copy of it is coming next. There you go. So there's two. One to view it like in the screen as is, and then the other to make a copy. Oh, while you're here, fun little tip. Up here, you'll notice after this backslash right here, normally it says edit, but if you change that to say present, it will open up in presentation mode, but you still get all of your tabs at the top. So you don't have to exit out of your presentation to click on a tab and then get back in. That little tip was given to me by Added, and it has been one of my favorite things because it's so much easier to present on a virtual level. So if you're using Google Slides in your classroom, use that. All right, that is it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, you have any problems, you email me, whatever. I'll be happy to hear from you. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day at LaQ. Thank you.